Thanks for stopping in again. I'm Marty with Warehouse and Operations as a Career. And as you know, this is where we talk about warehouse, transportation, and our light industrial careers. Really anything and everything to do with the manufacturing, production, and distribution worlds as they relate to us as warehouse men and women. I was thinking about stalled careers this week. How, and I guess I mean more like why does it seem like we quit moving forward in our professional lives? Now, I'm not talking about the person that loves what they do, the people that are not wanting to or looking to move or advance through the system. You've heard me mention 100 times that being great at a task or a job is absolutely fine. If you love your job, are the best of the best at it, and it provides you the finances, rewards, and happiness that you work for, well, that's great. On the other hand, if you're looking to move from position to position, accepting more duties and more responsibilities, and find ourselves, or believe that we're stuck somehow, well, what causes that? Today I'd like to talk about a word that came up a couple of times this week. I want to talk about complacency. It's something we all face at some point, especially when we've been doing the same task day in and day out. As warehouse associates, whether we're forklift operators, order selectors, packers, pickers, loaders, or unloaders, it's easy to fall into the trap of a routine. We get comfortable within our roles, and before we know it, we're going through the motions without thinking twice. While this might seem harmless at first, complacency can have real and dangerous consequences, not only for our safety, but also for our efficiency and professional growth. Today, I want to dive into why complacency is such a critical issue in warehouse operations, and more importantly, how we can combat it. By staying sharp, engaged, and alert, we can ensure we remain focused on our positions and protect both ourselves and our team from those preventable mistakes. Not just mistakes with the task, but mistakes with our careers. A few things I thought of where complacency can get in our way. One of my bullet points, and the most important one, are safety hazards that we can create by being complacent. We'd all agree, first and foremost, safety is our number one priority in any warehouse. Yet, complacency often strikes hardest in this area. When we've done the same task 1,000 times, it's easy to skip over important safety measures. We start thinking, I've done this 100 times, nothing bad is going to happen. But that's exactly when accidents do occur. When we stop paying attention to the little things, the consequences can be huge. Take the forklift operator task. Every shift, we're supposed to inspect our equipment. Check the tires, the hydraulics, the battery, the propane lanes, the mast, etc. But what happens when we get comfortable? Maybe we skip that pre-shift inspection. Maybe we assume that everything is fine because it was working yesterday. The problem with this thought process is that equipment can fail unexpectedly, and when it does, it could cause serious injury or even death. Imagine this, a forklift operator doesn't notice a small hydraulic leak because they didn't inspect the equipment. Halfway through their shift, the leak gets worse and suddenly the forklift loses power while lifting a heavy load. The load could come crashing down, potentially hurting someone on the ground, damaging the products, and even causing costly downtime. This example illustrates how complacency can turn a minor oversight into a major safety hazard. It's not just about forklift operators either. For unloaders, failing to properly stack items can cause those items to fall. For pickers, failing to be aware of your surroundings can lead to collisions with other associates or equipment. Complacency in any role leads to unsafe behaviors, and unsafe behaviors lead to accidents. When complacency creeps in, it's not just safety that can suffer. Efficiency and productivity can take a hit too. Warehouse operations are all about safety, speed, and accuracy. Orders need to be picked quickly, packed securely, and shipped out on time. But when we stop caring as much, when we go on autopilot, mistakes do start to happen. Let's take order selectors as another example. We're responsible for picking the right items for each order, and accuracy is key. But after a while, we might start to get too comfortable. Maybe we stop double checking, the SKU numbers because we think we know where everything is. Suddenly, we're picking the wrong items, which means those orders need to be returned and reshipped. In our world, that's called a misship. That costs time, and in a fast-paced environment like a warehouse, time is money. In addition to accuracy, speed can also be impacted. When we are complacent, we might move slower, not because we're tired, but because we're simply not engaged in the task. We could be taking extra breaks or stretch out tasks longer than really necessary. Over time, we'll see a dip in our overall productivity. Even if we're on piece pay or productivity pay, it just happens. Now let's talk about how complacency affects more than just the day-to-day operations. It can also stunt our career growth. In any warehouse, there's always an opportunity to move up, whether that's into a supervisory role, learning a new piece of equipment, or gaining different certifications. But if we're too comfortable in our current role, we might miss those opportunities. Consider this. You're an experienced order selector. You've been with the company for a few years and you know your job inside and out. But now there's a new inventory management system that's being introduced. You're comfortable with the old system, so you decide not to put much effort into learning the new one. You think, I'll be okay with what I already know. Meanwhile, other associates who embrace the new system are the ones who get noticed by management. They're the ones who get promoted or given more responsibility. Suddenly, your complacency has limited your growth. It's important to recognize that warehouse technology and processes are constantly evolving, especially in today's environments. If you're not willing to adapt and learn new things, you risk becoming obsolete in your position. Staying relevant is about more than just doing your job well. It's about positioning yourself for success tomorrow. Being that employee, if you will. So how can we fight against complacency? Here are a few tips given to me throughout the years. Just a few things I do to keep myself in check. One of the easiest ways to prevent complacency is through self-assessment. Take time every week or even every day to evaluate your performance. Ask yourself, am I still following all the safety procedures? Have I been cutting any corners? Am I doing the best that I can? Being honest with ourselves is going to be key here. If you notice that you've been slacking off or falling into some bad habits, make a conscious effort to correct those behaviors. Self-awareness is the first step towards staying engaged and preventing complacency from kind of creeping in. Another great way I work at staying sharp is through ongoing training. Attend safety refresher courses, participate in new training programs, and always be willing to learn. The more knowledge and skills you have, the more engaged you'll be in your work. As you know, I think cross-training is also an excellent way to combat complacency. If you've been doing the same job for a long time, it can start to kind of feel repetitive. Learning a new task, whether it's operating a different piece of equipment or different machine or moving to a different area of the warehouse, that can break that monotony and keep us mentally interested. Plus, I think being cross-trained makes us more valuable to the company and opens up more opportunities for advancement. Another point, and this is one I feel kind of strong about, is goal setting. You all know how I feel about goals and planning. Goal setting is a powerful tool for staying motivated. When you have something to work toward, you're less likely to fall into complacency. I think it's important to set daily, weekly, or monthly goals for yourself. Maybe you want to improve your picking speed without sacrificing accuracy, or perhaps you want to learn a new skill by the end of the quarter. Whatever your goals are, make sure they're challenging yet achievable. The key, for me anyway, is to stay focused on continuous improvement. Another thing I think is important is that communication word. Don't be afraid to communicate with your supervisor or team if you're feeling kind of stuck or complacent. Sometimes it's easy to fall into a routine without realizing it, and talking about it can help. Ask for feedback on your performance or discuss new challenges or responsibilities that you can take on. Supervisors appreciate when associates take the initiative to grow in their roles. It makes their jobs easier. What else do I have here? Let's see. Let's go back to safety for just a minute. Safety meetings might seem unnecessary, but they're an excellent way to keep safety at the forefront of our mind. When safety becomes routine, it's easy to overlook it. I've always felt like random safety audits or drills keep everyone on their toes and ensure that procedures are followed at all times. These drills can simulate real-life situations like an equipment malfunction or an emergency evacuation, helping everyone stay prepared for the unexpected. Maintaining our equipment wraps right in with safety. We've talked about forklift inspections, but this applies to all equipment really. Regular maintenance should never be skipped, no matter how small the issue might seem. Over time, small issues can become big problems, and neglecting equipment and machine maintenance is a prime example of complacency. Always follow the maintenance schedule, and we got to report any issues immediately. Oh, and another thing real quick. I have to recognize the warning signs of slipping into routines every week. If you notice that you're zoning out, multitasking too much, or just going through the motions, that's a clear sign of complacency. One strategy to stay engaged is practicing mindfulness. Being fully present in your work helps you stay focused and prevents your mind from wandering. When you actively combat complacency, the benefits are immense. Not only are you keeping yourself and your coworkers safe, but you're also setting yourself up for long-term success. By staying engaged and relevant in your role, you're more likely to be noticed for promotions and additional responsibilities. Management always looks for employees who are proactive, adaptable, and committed to and showing continuous improvement. Additionally, striving for a culture of engagement contributes to a positive work environment. When everyone is committed to doing their best and looking out for each other, the entire team is going to benefit. Productivity increases, morale improves, and the company as a whole becomes much more successful. Finally, and for me anyway, staying engaged in your work brings a sense of personal satisfaction. When you know you're doing your best and contributing to the success of the team, you feel a sense of accomplishment. That pride in your work helps keep you motivated over time and really helps prevent burnout. Complacency is something that we all have to watch out for in the warehouse. It's easy to become comfortable in our roles, but that comfort can lead to dangerous safety hazards, decreased efficiency, and stunted professional growth. By staying alert, setting goals, continuing to learn, and communicating with our teams, we can combat complacency and ensure that we remain relevant in our positions and safe in our work environments. Remember, your career and your safety are worth the effort. So stay sharp, stay engaged, and keep pushing yourself to improve every day. Okay, I'll climb down off my soapbox now. If you have any questions on today's topics or suggestions for future topics, send us a message to host@warehouseandoperationsasAcareer.com and we'll try to get them answered for you. Be safe out there, and I hope you'll stop in again next week.